Hello, it is Dylan Miller on the Daily Dose of Dylan. Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, we are on Spotify and Google Podcasts. I don't know if I'm going to be going on iHeartRadio in a couple weeks, but we'll see. Alright, so another playoff dud for the Steelers. And I know what you guys are going to say next. Dylan, the Steelers are one of the most successful teams ever. That is very true. But their last 3 playoff wins have been against Alex Smith, Matt Moore, and my personal favorite, A.J. McCarron. They looked terrible yesterday. The Browns also looked good. It could be just that. But as of today, I'd move off of Big Ben. And it's not just because of last night. It's only partly because of last night. There's going to be 17 games next year. At a preseason game that he's probably going to play, that's 18. And then another playoff game, that's like 19 or 20 games. He's 38 years old. And he's not a Brady or Breeze 38-year-old. He's 38 years old, he looks overweight, and he's not into details. And he looked exhausted yesterday. Old and exhausted. That's not a good combination. And I don't want to hear he had 500 yards. Most of those yards came when the game was over. Most of them came when the game was over. It's like 300 of them came when the game was over. He threw 4 picks. 4 of them. The Steelers were not prepared. And also, it's not all Big Ben. The Steelers weren't prepared, it seemed. I feel like they're missing the it factor here. If you watch the Saints, Colts, and Steelers game yesterday, they have great rosters on paper, but they're missing the it factor. Ben isn't the it factor. And the problem is, even though Tomlin is partly to blame, the Steelers don't fire coaches. That just hasn't been their style in the past couple of years. Their style has been... It hasn't really been moving much at all, but if anything, it seems like if any move they'd make, it would be getting out Big Ben. Getting him out of Pittsburgh. He just isn't aging well. Brady, LeBron, they just don't age. They just don't. If you watched the Laker game last night, maybe on paper LeBron didn't have the best performance he's ever had, but 18, 7, and 7, 1 steal, 1 block. He had an impact. And this year, he's at the age of 37, or 36, my bad. The age of 36, he's averaging 24, 7, and 8. Shooting 50% from the field almost, and almost 35% from 3, which is pretty bad. But, alright. I wanted to move on to another playoff topic. The Ravens-Titans game. All I wanted to talk about here is the narrative that... There are some narratives that I buy into. James Harden can't get it done in the playoffs. I believe that. I don't think he's... I think he's too ball-dominant to do it. The narrative that... Kershaw isn't as good in the postseason as he is in the regular season. I believe that. I didn't buy into Lamar not being able to win the big game. I never did. Because it just was never true. That's a simple fact. It was just never true, ever. Every QB, I feel like, not every, but a lot of QBs struggle in the playoffs from the jump early. Peyton Manning, 0-3. He went 14-13 in the playoffs. Lamar has won 81% of his games. And Bill Parcells, an all-time great, won 57%. I mean, obviously that's going to go down through the years, but Lamar right now is playing better than a lot of the great all-time great quarterbacks were at his age. And if you watched the Colts game yesterday, the Colts and Bills were even rosters. What's the one difference that there was? His name was Josh Allen. That was the difference. Lamar was the difference in the Ravens-Titans game. It was an evenly fought contest in which Lamar Jackson was the difference maker in it. And if you look at what he's accomplished at his age, 24, 2 division titles, a playoff win, an MVP, and an 81% win percentage, I think that's a pretty good life so far in the NFL. Really, his issue is the Chiefs. His issue is Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, that whole Chiefs organization. He doesn't have any other issues, And, I mean, honestly, the normal people in this world, with a QB this young, you ask, every year Lamar gets better. You ask, these things, Lamar went from a run-dominant quarterback to an MVP by getting better at reading the defense. This year, he passed less, or ran less, and got better in the red zone. You ask these small, improvements every year. Of a 24-year-old, you ask small improvements every year. You don't ask, show up big in the playoffs here. That's what normal people ask 24-year-olds. You don't ask them to be a godsend in the playoff games. So, the Browns shocked a lot of people last night, including me, because I did not believe in them at all. They have no playoff experience. Stefanski was out. Their 2 best defensive players were out. They were playing the Steelers, who they hardly beat with their backups. Stefanski, when they hired him, I didn't know how to react to it because I didn't know Stefanski that well. But he had a reputation for being loyal and smart, a good fit for the Browns. But the question was, can he create a culture and make them grown-ups? Can he make these young kids that were drafted grown-ups? And in these playoffs, every QB is either on a rookie contract or a legend. Every QB is either on a rookie contract or is a legend. Phillip Rivers, a legend. Allen, rookie contract. Wilson, I guess you could say a legend. Brady, a legend. Lamar on a rookie contract. Mayfield on a rookie contract. Rodgers a legend. It's either a rookie or a legend that's going to win. Where Stefanski's leadership really came into play was this game. I know Stefanski wasn't there, but this kind of showed his leadership. How well did he teach you? Kind of when you're riding a bike, when people teach you that, they hold you to support you on the back, and then let you go. How well do they teach you there? How well do you do without that support on the back? So, Stefanski wasn't there, and they were more organized than normal. It should have been a mess. They should have fallen down and scraped their knees. But the fact that they were more organized, even without him, shows how well he has taught them and how well he has created this culture. Last night, the first play set the tone. That basically defined what was going to happen in the game. Ben and James Conner were not in sync. They were oh, you get it, you get it. The Browns were determined. They were all right, I'm going in. I don't care who gets it. The Steelers were the more talented team on paper. But New England has proven it the last 20 years. Culture over talent. they had hardly any talent on that roster the past 20 years. They won 6 titles because of the culture. So that last night showed
I threw it out.
What a great coach
I threw it out. So
that Stefanski is, and how well he taught them over the years. Alright, so time to... Alright, we're going to go over these playoff games. Alright. Alright, so the Rams beat the Seahawks. So the Rams obviously proved last night their defense, their defensive front owned Seattle. 21 sacks in the last 4 games. That's about 5 sacks a game. That organization drafts defensive backs and running backs and wideouts so well. You know, they could draft so well. They're so smart. Cam Akers had a nice game yesterday. That was great. They got Jalen Ramsey on that roster. You know, and they got Cooper Kupp. He's a great receiver. Most underrated in the league. And honestly, I feel like this was the easy upset to pick. I don't know how Seattle was even favored in this game. If you've been paying attention when the Rams and Seahawks play, you wouldn't have picked them. But division rivals are always a question mark. I mean, yesterday, the Browns-Steelers game showed it. The Browns hardly beat them with their backups once, and the Steelers blew them out once. And now the Browns blew them out this time when no one expected it. It's because they were playing them for the 3rd time. How much different is it going to get? You know? Alright, so Saints beat the Bears. I guess you could say narrowly. Honestly, something I like about the Saints and Drew Brees, something I've always liked about them, is they spread the ball around. Maybe fantasy players don't like it that much, that they spread it around, but it's great for the team. It helps them a lot. And the crazy thing is, it exposed Trubisky and the Bears offense. They played a top 5 defense, and look what happened. And their defense was great most of the night, and they still lost because they couldn't score for their life. They didn't score that entire night. They didn't score a touchdown. It was all field goals. Alright, so the Bills win for the first time in 25 years. I don't know if I've said this before, but the Colts are really talented. They just need a younger quarterback. You know, Rivers, they're just not dynamic enough at quarterback. The Bills, I've always said they had a good defense, but really, it's just their defense shows up at the right time. You know, they were good defensively late. If you watch, and something I liked, because Allen, where Allen messed up, in the Texans game is he didn't let the game come to him. He jumped out. He was like, all right, we got a 16-point lead. Now I'm just going to calm down a bit. But Deshaun Watson let the game come to him. And then he was like, all right, I know what I'm doing now. We're going to come back here. Lamar and Josh Allen in the first half. Lamar and Josh Allen, they let the game come to them rather than just straight up, let's go and pound it, but then you blow a 16-point lead. You know, that's another mistake Lamar made. You know, he tried getting out to a lead, and he messed up and got blown up by the Titans. Alright. So, I still think the Bills are going to win next week against the Ravens. You can definitely make a case that the Ravens win, but I think the Bills take that one easily. Alright. Okay, this was a defense dominated week.